What's up, guys? It's Jensen and welcome to another video. So the NFL passed a new CBA. That's going to create some big time shifts in the NFL as we know it. I'm just going to say this as a football fan. I don't really like this new CBA because even though there seems to be some big time shifts, there seems to be some good thing for the players. As a football fan, I don't really like part of this CBA. And one of the parts I don't like is the 17 game season. Like, on the surface, an extra regular season game sounds great for football fans, but if you're thinking about it, imagine Derrick Henry having to go through an extra game before he could get to the playoffs. Do you really want to put wear on running backs like that? Or what if Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes gets injured during this extra 17th game of the regular season? To me, personally, I don't really see the point of adding another regular season game other than sheer dollars for these owners. I mean, as a football fan, I don't want to see a 17-game season. As a Bears fan, what if Khalil Mack gets injured during the 17th game? I'm just not a fan of that, honestly, because football is already a violent sport as we know it. To add an extra game just adds extra risk for some of these star players to get injured, and even some of these role players too. That's one of my concerns, 17-game season. But another one of the concerns with the 17-game season is the fact that how do we keep track of records now? Like, records are going to get smashed with this extra 17-game season. We're going to forget about some of these records of the past, and it might be a shame because we see a guy like Drew Brees. Obviously, we people who lived through the Drew Brees era know how special he was, how his passing yard record was legit, how hard it was for him to get that record, and how dynamic he's been all these years. But imagine a dude just having extra games every regular season just to be able to break the record, even if they weren't as spectacular. I mean, that's what I really don't like, because we're kind of disrespecting the past by putting an extra regular season game in there, and then records are just going to get smashed. We're going to forget about these legends of the past. I'm just not a fan of that as a football fan. I think it's disrespectful a little bit. But the other thing I don't really like is this new playoff format, where 7 teams from each conference are going to get into the playoffs. I don't really like that, because part of the great thing about football is the fact that it used to be only 12 teams used to get in out of 32. How special it is to get in. When you have franchises like the Cleveland Browns, teams like the Buffalo Bills for a while who couldn't get into the playoffs, and the reward, the joy the fans had when they got into the playoffs because it was so exclusive. You add an extra 2 teams in, it kind of loses its meaning. It kind of loses the meaning if an 8-8 team gets into the playoffs as a 7 seed. I just don't like that, because I really feel like the NFL playoffs, it's not like the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs where more than 50% of the teams get in. The NFL playoffs is special because it's so hard to get in, and like for these big players who are able to get into the playoffs on some of these elite teams, it's really rewarding them. It used to be when there was 12 teams because of how exclusive it was. But I also think that we're robbing the second seed now, because I really like the idea of having 2 teams with the first round bye in the old playoff format, but with this new playoff format, we're only rewarding the top team in each conference. We're acting as if the number 2 seed doesn't even matter anymore. Like, imagine the Kansas City Chiefs last year having to go play at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I don't really agree with that, because I really feel like even getting the second seed in the conference is so hard. I feel like you should be rewarded with the first round bye. But that's just me. I can see why some people like this new CBA. But for me personally, I'm just not a fan of this new CBA. But, you know, it is what it is. Football is still one of the greatest sports on the planet, and we're still going to watch. So it doesn't really ruin the NFL, but, I mean, I'm just not a fan of it personally. But, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Should be an interesting NFL season, though. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please like and subscribe. I'll be providing more NFL and NBA hot takes as the season goes on. And have a good day. And remember to follow me on Twitter, Jensen Sports.